Welcome to Community Talk Radio. This is Project Independence and You, Talk of the Town on LIU Public Radio. I'm Kristina Liu, along with co-host Paula Ewell, Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Services for the Aging, and Otto Los, co-host, friend, go-to PI ambassador. We really had such an amazing first hour of the show. If anybody missed our first hour, please go check it out because we dove into mental health first aid, which is such an important topic for anyone of all ages, and it's such a wonderful course. As we said, it's 6 hours, so we crammed that 6 hours, gave a good little overview for an hour segment. And Jeannie Cacciatore is a wonderful instructor, and it was just so great to have her on to go over all that stuff.
It was very informative, and it's a problem that a lot of people have that maybe doesn't get addressed the way it ought to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
People
Yeah, and
know
it's
that
hard.
somebody has
Yeah.
a mental health
Yeah.
problem,
Yeah.
but what do I do?
Yeah.
I'm
No,
like
certainly it's
lost.
what do you do? It's
And
really
which is what this was all about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think the wording was it was a mental health first aid class.
Mhm.
So you can react to the problem. You're not the one who's trying to fix
Right.
it.
Right.
You're
Exactly.
just trying to react so that
In
it
the
doesn't
moment.
go down the wrong path.
Right.
Absolutely. So it was just so wonderful. And as we were laughing, we said it's jam-packed with a lot of golden nuggets. Because she has a lot of great sayings that you really use. And I'm just have to say, after the course, I have utilized it, in various degrees in my personal life. So really, really good stuff. And
Yeah.
please check it out. If you would like to get in touch with Jeannie, you could always call 311 or 516-869-6311, and we will certainly get you connected.
Yeah. And I think when we had our training over in our office with community service and our DOSA staff, it gave everybody an opportunity to talk about, while we were being trained,
Mhm.
everyone had the opportunity to talk about their own, what's happening in their life. So
Mhm.
Kristina was saying she
Right.
had a friend, almost
Yeah.
everyone had something that they shared that, oh, if I had known this, I could have maybe done that. And you have these aha moments
Right.
during the
But
training.
that's so interesting that you say that, because I find that if you're open with people about stuff,
Mhm.
all right, people will also start to talk about their
Yes.
stuff.
Yes,
Like-
yes.
Like some people act like everything is la la land and
Right,
perfect in
right.
their family.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And in some cases, maybe it is.
But
Wow.
I say that's rare.
Yeah,
probably.
incredible.
Right. very
Introduce
rare.
me
Very
to
rare.
them.
Right, right. But it's
Yeah.
also like when we were getting the training, when you're in a work setting, it's even a different thing,
Right.
because people that you work with become like your family.
Right.
I mean, we all talk every day about
Yeah, you spend
everything.
more time with
but
your work people
yeah,
than your own
yeah.
family.
Yeah,
half the
you
time.
do.
But when
Definitely.
Jeannie was, sharing her, about her life and her dad and her son, everyone, you could really see like the aha, like,
Mhm.
oh yeah. And then in the beginning, like the icebreaker, one of her first things as an icebreaker was, how did you get your name? Do you know, where did your
Mhm.
name come from? Like, why did and we had some really
Yeah, we were
interesting,
right. You found out
like,
things that you know. Oh my God,
Joanne
right.
Tricarico, her name isn't Joanne
Yeah.
on her birth certificate. And I was like, Joanne, how do we not
Yeah.
know this for 18 years?
Yeah.
But was it Giovanna? Or
Yeah, it was
Giovanna?
something. I
It's a
forgot.
beautiful
Yeah.
name. I
This
said,
is Joanne.
Yeah.
Tricarico.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I said, Joy, we sat next to each other, but she said, yeah, my mother. And then she explained the whole story with the birth certificate. And it just was wonderful to hear it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who are not mental health professionals with
No,
us in
and
training.
and I'm glad you mentioned too, because when you do take this course with Jeannie, she really, is able to. It's not just someone lecturing at you. I've been,
Right.
In plenty of courses where it's okay. This
Right,
this way you
right.
follow, and you're writing notes, and but this, to really understand it, she used a lot of examples. Obviously, she puts in a lot of personal aspects that always make it, easier to understand. But it's just she did a lot of like these exercises and stuff, and something she actually did with all of us is she took a paper towel roll and put it by our ear, and so there was 3 people and we were having a conversation, and so she showed you what it's like when someone's having like a psychotic episode, and just hearing all those things, because it's affecting all your senses, and it makes it so hard to talk to someone or to process what was happening. And, your brain, it was making you like, oh my God, I can't, so, and you don't know that, right? If you've never experienced that feeling, you don't know. So you could see someone on the street and, make pass judgment and say what you want. But it's so to really, and she has so many of these kind of exercises that really,
which is great. I was
help
never
you to
good
understand.
at lecture classes.
Right.
No, right.
I find I drift unless that person is really good.
Right.
I'm over there somewhere.
Right.
And then I don't remember what I'm supposed to remember.
No, but that's
Right.
what I always say about this show. What I think is, how it's evolved and made it so special is that, it wasn't just, okay, question, answer, question, answer. It really became, we always say every time I talk to one, oh, it's a roundtable discussion, so, and I think that, especially with these topics that can be, heavier and intense, to talk about it in that kind of way is just, it helps you kind of get it a little more.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing easy about mental health.
Right.
Some people might think it's easy, well, shape up,
Right.
don't let it bother you.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, and
well,
I think too, in fairness to a lot of people, and as Jeannie was saying, the younger generation, it's certainly more in their, vernacular to talk about mental health and to recognize it, because I haven't seen my like little people in my life, and they have like, they do like yoga breaks.
Yeah, it's
or they'll
common.
do like
It's
a
just
breathing
becoming
break.
more
And it's like,
common.
and it's so and it's so nice to
It's
see that
wonderful.
there's these, little kids, and that's good, something that will, follow them, whereas, even when I, we dabbled in it, and when I was in school, there would be talks, part of the health class or something.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, I went to, get my master's of social work, so, it was talked about more. But, I look at people, my parents' age, and then my grandparents' age, and, it's a different time, so I also like do believe in giving those people a little grace.
Yes,
as well, that fall
absolutely.
into that class, because, they grew up in a time where this wasn't, so it is such a foreign
Right.
concept
And
to
it's
them.
hard
Well,
to
you-
change that channel
Yeah.
when you're
Right.
older and this is how it
Yeah,
was.
exactly.
Looking at it
Period.
from that age
Yeah.
bracket, all right.
Yeah.
I know many times people will say, the younger people have a lot more issues than we used to have, all right. And thinking about what you just said, I don't think that is truly
They
the
just
case.
talk about it more.
I
Yeah,
think that there
right.
were issues.
Yeah.
But they weren't talked
They were
about.
suppressed
So
more.
Of
somebody
course.
just had a,
Yeah.
they had a quirk or they acted weird or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it's because it just wasn't addressed.
Right.
No, right.
And that's why the piece, I think Jeannie was saying, that you really should be observing the behavior
Mhm.
and that war,
Yeah.
like how is it impacting?
Mhm.
And with seniors, I think that we're seeing when we're going into the home or in the office, frequently, if you bring up depression or asking, are you feeling depressed? The first response is no.
Mhm.
There's like a fear to it also. Like if I say I'm depressed,
You're weak.
you're weak, or
Right.
I could be, showing that maybe I can't be as independent as I want to be. And so sometimes it really takes some time. And,
Yeah.
Well,
it's.
But it is, and I had actually brought this up when when I was scheduling advisory meetings this year, and May was mental health month, so we had like mental health
Right.
topic. And I remembered like which is great, is even with our senior population, when I first started, there wasn't super mental health classes that the
Right,
seniors would
right.
want to go to,
No, it was
they'd be,
you're right.
and I remember Paul at our advisory, it was everyone was so engaged and really
Oh,
asking
everyone
questions
turned
to the
right on,
speaker.
like,
And I
right,
thought
yeah.
this is so nice, because here's this room
Yeah.
full of people that, are older adults who, this wasn't, kind of part
Right.
of their upbringing, but they were
Right.
recognizing it too. And I think one of the silver linings coming out of, COVID was there really began to be more of an intention, on mental health
Yeah.
and focus. And I even see it on social media. I mean, it's like, constantly, some kind of post and how to like, check yourself, or, how to cope with certain things. So
Well, I think, what we really have to look at is we're all different. Like for some people, it's easy to hit a baseball.
Right.
Other people couldn't hit a baseball
Right.
if they stood there all
Right.
day.
Right.
So that's just a small example of a physical
Yeah.
and mental
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
eye-hand coordination and everything that goes along with it.
Yeah.
And people who can hit the ball easily, it's easy for them. But
Yeah.
maybe they have an issue in another area and it's not as visible.
No, and I do. And I think that that's exactly what it is, because it's like hidden, so like, let's say, I broke my leg. I'm gonna have to go to
See
the
it.
doctor
Right.
and get it taken care of and get a cast on it, then go to physical therapy for, I have this long road
And some it'll
to
cook you,
heal.
make you soup, and
Right.
some it'll take care of
Exactly.
you.
So you're like, of
It's the
course, like, yeah, I
opposite.
broke my leg. I have to like go get checked, so there's not a second thought, but when it comes to a mental health kind of thing, you don't see it per se,
Right,
like,
right.
so it's something that it's very hard. And I think, with insurance, that's a big barrier.
Yeah.
It's harder. And even if you have insurance,
Right,
a lot of
it's
times
hard.
it's not taking insurance, so it's a really hard situation. And I think, until like that starts becoming more, integrated with, physical health kind
Yeah,
of coverage
yeah.
things, it's always this separated thing, but I do think we are progressing in the correct direction, certainly, when it
One
comes to-
thing that did come out, which goes right
Mhm.
along with what you're talking about, is getting the right help.
Yeah,
All right. There's help out there,
yeah.
but it may not always be
Yeah,
the right
right,
help for your
right.
situation.
But
And I think
what
that
we
was
do
one of
have
the-
more, sorry, Otto, is
Yeah.
geriatric mental health
Yes,
now.
Yeah.
exactly.
There's a
right.
specialty,
Yeah.
and you can now go to the right doctors and the right therapists that have been trained to work with an aging population. Not just, you're internist and they write you a quick,
But there's not enough of them, and
No,
it takes a
no.
long time to get
Correct.
to one of them.
Yeah, yeah.
They're booked,
yeah.
But this is
Yeah,
why, if you
yeah.
are in the town of North Hempstead, right, you call 311, and you get connected to one of our Project Independent social workers and nurses, and they're able to do that initial intake and talk with you and kind of gear you in the direction, and I mean, we get these calls all the time, and
Yeah,
quite,
it's hard to gauge how hard it actually is to
Right.
get the help though.
right.
Because we're still having outreach,
Yeah.
we're still being like contacted about from Zucker and different
Right.
hospitals. Recently, have
Yeah.
you noticed? We've
Mhm.
been getting like, excuse me, a lot more. We have this program.
Yeah.
We have this ambulatory program. They now have more of what would be a day treatment for geriatric psychiatric illnesses, where they do have already for all ages, but now they're having specific. And I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
So that's fairly new.
But that's why I always think it's nice,
It's growing.
when you do call into PI and get connected with our social worker, because they're able to like help you in that process of finding, and oh my God, if the wait list is long here, there's other options, so you have someone kind of in your corner helping, to coordinate things with you, which is certainly
for lots
beneficial.
of problems,
For so much, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
mental health problems,
Yeah,
changing light bulb problems.
right, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's and I mean, I joke, but it's very true that somehow, one way or another, we, no matter what we're talking about, mental health comes up,
Yeah.
or if you're anxious about something or stressed about
Right.
something, or, your lack of sleep, and all these things, kind of, are the perfect storm for stuff.
Well, I find life goes in streaks. All right. Like I'm going through a streak right now. I had a whole big dental thing. Then I
Yeah.
needed four new tires, brakes.
Mm.
The lawyer we had to get involved with,
Yeah.
and all this
Yeah.
stuff.
All hits at one time. When it
hits the-
rains, it
right.
And
pours.
it all
Right.
hits the cash
Yeah.
register.
Right, yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Big time.
Oh,
right?
yes.
So it goes in streaks.
Yeah.
And then hopefully you have a nice little calm stretch.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
But the problem is you really have to be able to handle the streak when it's
Yeah.
bad.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's an easy word for me to say. You have to
Yeah.
handle it.
Yeah.
Everybody is different.
No,
at
it's just
that.
coping. It's like
Yeah.
having the correct coping mechanism for yourself,
Yeah,
and how
yeah.
you deal with
And,
it.
and coping is another word they say, oh, you have to cope
Yeah.
with it,
Yeah.
Right, it can be thrown around.
Or your
Right.
coping mechanism. I think there again, there are coping methods that
Yeah.
you can try to learn
Mhm.
to handle. Like we talked about, I mean, when you get older, we've used it here many times, loss, all right?
Mm.
You're losing something almost
No
every
matter
day.
what. Yeah, right. Every
yeah.
category.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, your own capability, the
Yeah.
people around you,
Mhm.
they're not here anymore.
Right.
They can't do what they used to.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
so
it's easy to get up, depressed. I mean, there's a lot. It's a lot to take in. Certainly, a lot of changes. It's just
well,
in
you
general.
remember Larry Cardano,
Mhm.
all right? He retired from being an audiologist, so now he's getting involved with trying to help people creating and getting new friends. All right,
Hmm.
so he's been talking to me
That's
about it,
great.
and I'm thinking about it. I'm saying to myself, that's very difficult in some situations. All right, you can't just go with the people who are in the la la land.
Right.
You have to look at the people who are homebound,
Yeah.
who can't drive, who don't know how to use technology,
Yeah.
you know, so they're really in the isolation tank, if you will,
Right.
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
How do you propose to help those people?
Yeah.
You
And
know,
those
to
are always,
me,
and that's the
those are the
struggle
hardest.
always, you know.
well,
we
to me,
talk-
that's
yeah.
the far,
That's the hardest
Yeah.
the
one.
hardest part, all right?
Yeah.
And people who are capable of getting out and being mobile and using technology and whatever, if they don't get involved with things, it's really up to them.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You have that capability, it's there,
Yeah.
you've got to use it, you
Yeah.
know?
And
But then
sometimes
I
if you
feel,
just have only one person you can talk to, it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's why with the telephone reassurance,
Right.
you know, we enhanced it during COVID. And I think we were up to like almost 50 people. I don't know
Yeah.
what our numbers are
Mhm.
now.
Yeah, it was like
around
50, 60. Yeah.
50, 60,
Mhm.
something like that, where you had one person who you knew would call you every Monday at this time. And if you needed more calls, we'd figure out how to make more calls. And even just knowing there's one person out there, because when we find, I don't want to say find, that's the right way to say it, but when we, you know, learn that someone is homebound and really alone,
Yeah.
right.
we go in like big,
Yeah.
you know, like we really want to make sure we can connect to as many
That they know
No,
problems.
because that
somebody.
is
Yeah.
the hardest part. I
That's
mean,
the hardest
that's the
thing to be
struggle
alone.
since
Yeah.
we've been, you know, the elder orphans, you
Yep.
know, we would like
Yep.
talk about, and it was
Now,
to
is,
find,
Elder
you know,
orphans, yeah.
it's just, you know, everyone says, of course, oh, you got to help the home, but it's like, how do I find
right,
them? You know,
right,
so it's
right.
really a tough
well, is that
situation.
program still actively?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, people
It's
call,
not
yeah.
it's not as many,
Right.
which is good.
Talk for a minute about how would you, or if you know somebody who's in that elder orphan category, how would you go about getting them involved with this program? What should they do?
Call 311.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
it. You got to call
Yeah.
311. I mean,
And
we
ask for
get-
Project
yeah,
Independence.
you ask for
Yeah,
project.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, it starts as
Yeah.
phone, talking
Yeah.
on the
Right.
phone. If someone feels comfortable, I mean, we'll go right away. If somebody wants a
Mhm.
visit, we'll go right away.
Yeah, but
But
everyone's
then-
different, you know,
and
and every
like,
situation is
yeah.
certainly different. So
And
that's
I know,
why
you
it's
know, with virtual, like if someone is comfortable and is taught how to use Zoom, they can connect to so much. And it's the whole
Well,
world
it goes
opens.
back to the real need in today's world to know enough about basic technology.
Yeah.
You really have to, no matter what.
Yeah.
well, after the break, Paula, Otto, and I will continue talking about what's going on in the town of North Hempstead. You're listening to Project Independence, and you talk of the town on LIU Public Radio.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
What's a podcast and how much does it cost?
so I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
I see, but where can you find good ones?
and I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
Oh, that sounds easy.
and then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios podcasts, available on any podcast app. You know, those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
Welcome back to Community Talk Radio. This is Project Independence, and you talk of the town on LIU Public Radio. Let's dive back into all things going on in the town, and certainly mental health, and wherever this goes. You know, you never know where Talk of the Town will go. I just want to remind people that to mark your calendars for Tuesday, August 6th is National Night Out. It is such a great event. It's been going on for many, many years in the town of North Hempstead. This year, there's 3 different locations. There's Whitney Pond Park, that's over in Manhasset. There's Lions Field, which is in Port Washington. And then there's Martin Bunky Reed Park over in Westbury. They all have different times, so you can call 311 to get the specifics on that. But it's such a good family-friendly event that the whole neighborhood is there. There's music, there's resources, there's different giveaways, there's like a bunch of local community vendors. Paul and I usually work a table together, and this year I think we will be at Manhasset together.
Yes. Mhm.
But we loved it last year. You know,
Right.
there
We met
was
so
so
many
many
people.
so many people. There was
What's the
really
hours in Manhasset
Manhasset is 4 to 6 p.m.
and Whitney Pond.
Whitney
Park.
Pond Park, yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
it's
I
just
get
really
the
nice.
pleasure of seeing you and Paula.
That's
work.
Yes.
right. You can come visit us. We'll have all kinds of resources at our table. But It was just a really lovely event, and it had the local police force was there, and they were barbecuing, and it was just so nice to see everyone
There's a
of all edges
DJ,
come
dancing,
come
and
together.
a lot of community
So many.
organizations. That was the really nice part. Like I think
Yeah.
the organization, we had no idea
Yeah.
we're even there. So we just we
Yeah,
came
and
back
a
with
lot of
bag
work goes
full.
into this, so
Yeah,
it's really,
yeah.
really nice.
Yeah,
And
it's a
so
great
many
event.
sponsors in the community.
Yeah.
So please call 311 if you have any more questions about that, because it's a lot of good
Who
stuff.
organizes something like this?
So it's actually in partnership with the Nassau County Police Force, but and the supervisor's office, and of course, community
Is this
services.
in Nassau County
It's
or?
Yeah,
national.
yep,
It's
national.
Well,
It's the whole
national.
country.
Yeah,
So
It's
national.
the same day, the
Yep.
same
So it
evening.
filters down from
Yes.
somewhere.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so each community is different, things that go on there, but really a really nice thing. So once again, Tuesday, August 6th, and you could go to whatever is closest to you.
Yeah, and it's to connect the community with the police
Mhm.
department and have a sense that it's just, you don't have to just call in an emergency. If you need police, it's establishing a better
Yeah,
relationship.
absolutely. It was
Yeah.
just a nice community kind of event.
Yeah.
Also, I want to remind people to mark your calendars. Fun Day Monday is in full effect. The weather has been on their side. It was a little hot the past, but they went, they pulled it off. At least
Cooler at the
there's
beach.
right there's a nice breeze at the
Breeze,
beach.
yeah.
So the next one is going to be July 22nd, which is Monday if you're listening to this live. It is a Hawaii Aloha theme. There's the Island Inspirations, which are the hula dancers, and
Uh-huh.
the Elvis tribute will be there as well, which is, always quite the hit of Fun Day Monday. And of course, on July 29th is the resource fair, which is always jam-packed. Speaking of resources, with so many great organizations. That's sponsored by Northwell Health. So a special shout out to Northwell Health for being our sponsor for this event. And then we have August 5th is a Copacabana theme, which is, I think, a new theme for this year. August 12th is a country music and dancing event. And August 19th, my personal favorite is I was say not because it's the last Fun Day Monday, but because it's my favorite. Is the Hometown USA Salute to the Troops.
Well, you know what? You just bring
yeah.
up a point. It's fair for people to know that this Fun Day Monday isn't always fun for everybody because there's a lot of work involved.
There's a lot of work
a
involved,
lot
but
of work.
community
So
services.
my point is
really does a
appreciate
great
what
job.
people are doing for you.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it's
We're
really-
lucky.
Enjoy it.
Well, I shouldn't say we're lucky. We don't attend Fun Day Monday because someone has to hold down the fort.
Yes.
Right.
Everyone
I
else
know. I
is
get a
down
little
there.
jealous. There's a lot
It's
of some of
quiet.
these things like really. But I try to stop by the Hometown USA
Yeah,
one because
yeah.
the Salute to the Troops. It's such a lovely
Yeah.
event, and there's a vintage car show, which is so
It's
cool.
really
and-
nice. And we have nursing and social work
Yeah,
at
exactly.
every Fun Day Monday. We have our own Project Independence little tent area with the table. They're doing blood pressure screenings. They're setting up appointments. Even just want to stop by and say hello,
Yeah.
get some resources. I think maybe we bring some Vial of Life. But it's a great way to just stop in.
absolutely.
I can see all the service requests that come in
a lot.
every
a
Tuesday
lot.
morning. They start filling up from the nurses and social
Well,
workers.
like I think we've talked about continuity and trust.
Yes,
Of
big,
the
big, big,
people that
very important.
they're dealing with are critical.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the old thing about right help.
Yeah,
Those-
yes.
Your people, your
Yeah.
staff
Yeah,
are the right help.
yeah.
You know,
Thank you.
and
We tried.
it's hard to find
Yeah,
in anything.
No, and that's
Yeah.
what's so special about Project Independence, because we are in a day and age where things are, so fast moving and you're barely talking to a human half the time. I get so excited when I'm on a website and I have a question. It's like there's like a chat button. I'm like, oh great, there's a chat button. I can like ask my question. But it's never like a person, and then when I ask a person, it either takes a bazillion hours or they're like, we'll call you back. So it's to have Project Independence and, the 311 call center in general,
yeah.
as a
Amazing.
town, as a town resident for all different services, to have that you literally can pick up the phone and get connected to a human.
Yeah, well, that's
You know?
another interesting
Yeah.
topic that we could talk about sometime is use of chat.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
I've had some good experiences. I've had some really bad
Oh, yeah.
experiences. know.
And sometimes I just have a simple question. I'm like, if I could just have it, because it's like, it's all like AI, and this is why,
Right.
AI is not in
Right.
its prime,
Right.
Well, I'm
because
not
they'll
gonna-
be like, you're not saying it correctly. I was
Right.
like, I just asked what time the concert's ending, like what is going on here? Yeah.
I'm not going to name the car dealer or the car company,
okay.
right? But I went through a chat experience.
Oh,
Bring the car in. The car's going to come back 2 hours. No, I get there at 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, your car really doesn't have one recall. It has 3 recalls. Okay. Okay, great.
Don't you drive a Honda?
he's trying to get Otto in trouble over here.
So the 3 recalls, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Uh,
goodness.
but we won't have your car ready now till 3 o'clock. Okay,
No.
great. So
Alright.
now I'm over in another area of the world and I call Uber and I get Uber home. 3 o'clock comes, I don't get the phone call about where my car is.
Yeah.
So I start to chat, all right?
Right.
And I chat and I chat and I say,
Oh, no.
where's my car kind of thing. 5 o'clock, I get a phone call. I heard you're interested in buying a blah, blah, blah.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I said, no, I'm not really interested. And I said, I'll never be interested after
Right,
this
right, right,
experience.
right.
all right?
It is hard though, right?
So
It's
I give him the whole story about I'm looking to get to service,
Yeah.
whatever. He says, oh, service is closed.
Oh, no.
So now they keep the car, which I was supposed to get back in 2 hours, and
Oh, no.
forever. I'm finally I couldn't get a human being. I couldn't find out
Yeah.
where the
I
hell the
know
car
it's
was.
tough.
It was registered under the wrong name, besides which,
Ay,
so
ay,
it became a whole ordeal.
Yeah.
So anyhow, chatting didn't work.
Yeah, because that's I mean the value of that's what my point is. It's so rare to on your first shot get connected to a human.
A lot of times
know-
it's virtual chat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Always.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
with PI, and if you're a Town North Hempstead resident, the fact that you can call 311
that's
and get that human,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
at Project
that's
Independence,
a big deal.
it really
In-
is.
in this world now?
it's such a big deal, and
Yeah.
and especially at Project Independence because we are
We're like a little
we're
nutty about
right,
it.
and we
wanna
really
get-
like to
we wanna
respond
return your
immediately.
call
We feel
very
like we're like
quickly.
we're being
Right.
quizzed.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
need
it's
to ace that
to
quiz.
me, it's major. I mean,
Yeah.
just the situation in the world in general, trying to get a human being about
No, and
most
there's
things.
there's calls,
Yeah.
because Paul and I review, the social work and nursing case notes, and
Yeah.
it can really just run the gamut of things.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone just, as we were saying, like needs to talk to someone.
Right.
They're not sure what they want to talk about or what the reason is, but you just like need to like get it off your chest
Right.
or express
Right.
your frustration, and then that can lead to, possibly getting connected to something else. And, the amount of times that, we were talking off air that we
Yeah.
get calls saying, I need to get my AC removed or my
Yeah.
gutters clean.
Yeah,
And then, our
basics.
social worker goes to the house and there's just so much more that they could really
Yeah.
use, so it's just so special to have this kind of, grassroots personal connection going on with the seniors, that
Just
a lot
one-
of towns
One tip,
certainly don't have.
when you finally do get a human being, don't get angry at that person.
Oh, no, right.
See, there you go.
I always tell them, I
right?
said, look,
You're
I know
great,
you're the
right,
messenger.
right, right,
all
right, right.
Here's my story. I've been trying to blah, blah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And
It's
you
not
will
your fault.
usually get somebody to try to help you
Right.
that
I like
way.
that.
But if
Yeah.
you start jumping all over the
It's very true, 'cause
person
you're
behind the
frustrated, right?
Yeah,
counter
no,
in the
that's not,
airport,
never
Yes.
works.
you're done.
Yeah.
And I see people in travel for years.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I would
that's
see
the
people
worst.
yelling at the person behind the counter. I said, they don't control
No,
thunderstorms.
right, right,
You know,
right.
they have nothing to do with that.
Not yet,
You
at
know?
least,
Right.
But wow, yes, that's very true.
Yeah, I mean, you're taking
Right.
it out on
You're
the
see,
wrong
you're
people.
using some coping mechanisms. You're calming down. It was a good nugget. Do not get
Yeah,
mad
but
at
don't
that
take it out on the wrong
person. Right.
people.
Exactly. Exactly.
But you know what I think we should stress also
Yeah.
that we're not an emergency type
Perfect.
of
Yes.
a program.
Great. To
And
mention.
if something seems to be urgent, if you called into 311, it's built so that you're going to be asked a couple flex questions. And if you answer one of them and it seems like it's an emergency, it's immediately transferred to
Yes,
911.
yeah.
Right.
It's not even like track
Yeah.
down one of us, or it just goes. And it was
Right.
built that way. And, a lot of times though, we'll be the first part of getting somebody the help, like the mental health first aid. We'll be the first part and then help connect. But when situations seem urgent, that's when we move quickly to get someone help. But we're not an emergency program.
Which is an important point. I mean, people have
we
to
can't, we
understand.
don't have that resource,
Right.
yeah, to provide that kind of service, but you know, it is
No,
amazing
and it's
what's
just,
out
and
there.
it's, it just made me think of, because, being here, and I said, like, I've been like with the town for like 14 years now, which is
Wow.
like crazy. It's just crazy
We're
because
getting
I'm
old.
20, I always say it's
Right,
insane.
right,
Don't know
right.
how that's possible. But, the relationships that, someone has been, they turned 60, they signed up for Project Independence.
Yeah.
They, formed a relationship with our social worker, our nurse, and, through their life, you'll see the calls come in sometimes a lot,
Yeah.
or sometimes when there's a major something that happened in their life,
Right.
and I'll see that like I see that often
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
social workers. It's, blah, blah, blah happened in my life and like I'm having a hard time,
Right,
so
right.
it's really a special thing that we always say you could use, Project Independence as much as you want,
Right.
or as little as you
right,
want, which
right.
is just
Or
to
you could be
have
like
that like
Otto
and right, and just work for
be
Project
our
Independence.
Well, I mean,
ambassador and our volunteer, and right.
Well, like we
Well-
said earlier, like I'm going through this streak right now,
Yeah,
with
and
all
that's a
this
harder,
stuff.
yeah.
And
But
that can get you down,
you-
Oh, yeah.
What you go through, but all of
Yeah.
those are more impact on my pocket.
Yeah,
all right?
but that's
Uh,
stressful.
they're
That's a
not-
major
They're not
stress, yeah.
impact, luckily, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not wallowing in money,
Yeah.
but
Right.
luckily,
Right.
I'm not
You're
gonna go
Yeah.
wallowing.
broke because of
Right,
it, all right?
right, right.
But people go through streaks with health also,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
all of a sudden you got to go to the doctor 3-4 times a month.
Right, yeah.
Or
yeah,
more,
yeah.
or the dentist, or who, you
Yeah.
pick your poison.
Right, right,
You
yeah, whichever
know.
it is, but
No.
and there's also times, like, I'm gonna say, Kristina, at any given week, there's probably 2 to 3 situations that we have to very closely monitor.
Yeah.
Where there's gonna be several calls a day between the staff and ourselves and making sure things get covered. And so you're getting the benefit of a lot of professional assistance. And not just from us, from our partners. So
Yeah, it's like it takes a village,
it
and that's what we always
really-
say. It really
And
is.
that's so unique about this model. It's not one person helping you. You got a team helping you. But also, it's what I think is very interesting. And it still kind of boggles my mind. Every week, I'm going to say we get between 6 and 8 in the mail, handwritten surveys, new members, which then Kristina will take, and we'll review it, and then we'll assign it, to our staff. But the fact that people are still completing our surveys, mailing them back, and then you automatically get a phone call when we get a
How
survey
did they
back.
get the survey?
If they called for help at 311 for something, and
Right.
they asked, "Are you 60 or older?"
Right,
And they said, "Would you like to be a member of Project Independence?" Yes, okay. And then 311 puts it right in the mail.
all right.
They're our partners.
get like a
Oh,
little
They
packet,
immediately,
right?
and we have a whole packet with a welcome
Oh, really?
letter
I didn't
and
know that.
resource. Yeah, so when I hear people say, "Oh, how do you know about Project Independence?" Like, people must know, because
And some people
our
have some
numbers-
old surveys, like, they'll have like
oh my
old
God, we had
addresses.
one from the last
That they were just
week.
holding on to
I had
fill
to
out.
show
Yeah.
everybody, look. But it's interesting too, because now we're getting younger people,
Yeah.
like late 60s, and we're getting more and more older people, 90 plus people. And I love when that happens,
Yeah.
it's just great. And we get to make those phone calls to say, yeah, there's really a person here that's going to call you. That's just the best feel. It's great for the staff.
It is. It's
so
really-
great.
Whenever you say like
It's
60s
real.
and 90s,
We get,
the other part of it that people have to understand is that there is a big difference between a 60-year-old
Yes.
senior and a 90-year-old
Yes.
senior, right?
yes,
And the needs could overlap occasionally,
yes,
but a lot of times they're very different.
yeah,
And Project Independence understands that.
yes,
They're not treating a 60-year-old like a
No.
90-year-old and vice versa.
no,
Uh,
right.
It depends on your
Unless it's you,
situation.
Otto, and you'll forever be treated like, a
Well,
50-year-old.
Right.
Well, I mean, I'm working my way up there.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not too far from 90.
Yeah.
But it is so nice that we have such, this like 40 or so span of years that we help with. from
Yeah, I mean, that's
60s
what people,
to-
60 to 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is-
right.
I mean, if you think
That-
about it,
no,
that's like,
that's for real.
that's
And so,
like from 0 to 40.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Is
Think
there a
about
difference
that.
between 0 and 40?
Right.
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
And 60 and 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So things are cumulative.
No, and that
and-
actually, I had to, communications asked me to put together some stats they were working
Oh,
on
right,
for
yeah.
the newsletter, for the town newsletter. And it was just, it always just blows out. And I love doing it because it gives me time that I have to like actually sit down and like
Stop, yeah.
process like all the great stuff. And just, up until last week for this year, Project Independence had received 14,540 service requests, which is just
This year?
just this year. And
Wow.
we're only in July, so it's just it just shows you how important the program is, and how it's really being utilized. And it's so great to constantly see, membership growing and growing. And now, we're well over 17,000 members.
Right.
And it's just it's really good to see. And I always say it's so important for anyone listening, our Project Independence ambassadors out there,
Yeah.
to spread the word. I mean, Otto's been doing it for years now. And I think that's
Well, like
how
I
so
don't,
many
I
people
don't
get
get to
involved.
Fun Day Monday very often, frankly. I go
Mhm.
like once a year, maybe
Mhm.
the end one.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that's okay because
Yeah.
I have stuff
Yeah, it's
that I
not for
do.
everybody,
Yeah,
right, yeah.
But also though,
right.
that's a great, I can see by the people who go that they really like it.
Yeah.
And it's a great PR thing for Project Independence.
Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful.
It really is.
Yeah.
Well, after the break, Paula, Otto, and I will continue talking about what's going on in the town of North Hempstead. You're listening to Project Independence and You Talk of the Town on LIU Public Radio.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
Welcome back to Community Talk Radio. This is Project Independence and You Talk of the Town on LIU Public Radio. Let's talk more about everything that's going on in the town and Project Independence. I'm really glad to, I mentioned in the first hour, but hot off the press, the Smart Van Senior Mobile Access to Resources and Technology. We have 2 fall dates, and it is such a great program. And I love having this in the fall because I also got confirmation from the man, the myth, the legend, Barry Klitzberg, who is our Medicare guru.
And he's going to be on the
He
van?
will be there providing
Wow.
Medicare open enrollment
Excellent.
assistance. He did that the first time we ever had a
Will he
van.
be on one of our shows?
He will also
So,
be
right,
on
of
because I
course.
talked to Barry
Yeah.
just I guess it was yesterday, and he said,
Mhm.
I'm putting both days on my calendar and I'd like to be back on the
Book
show.
it.
I said, of course, Barry,
Yay.
you don't really
Right.
have a choice. Like we
He
just always
saved
schedule
me
it.
personally a fair amount of money.
Oh,
I bet.
Same
Yeah.
friend of mine too.
See?
I've heard him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so knowledgeable, possibly to this day, the most knowledgeable person I've ever encountered in this Medicare world of things.
Well, goes back
That's
to the
great.
right help.
Yeah.
That's right. You brought it back
Right.
full circle. But on this van, you could get technology training, connection to resources, informal counseling, and of course, during the fall, we're going to have our Medicare open enrollment assistance because I purposely scheduled it in that window, the sweet spot of Medicare
Right,
open
right.
enrollment. It's Wednesday, October 16th at Clingy Martin Park, and Thursday, November 14th at the Port Washington Adult Activities Center. You bring your cell phone, your laptop, your tablet, whatever it might be, to receive assistance.
We talked a lot over the years about technology, and we talked
Yes.
about it again earlier
Mhm.
in the show before and on our show, Talk of the Town. And that's good if you have a given problem. And as was it, FCA
Mhm.
mentioned that they have a technology training program and whatnot. What's the best way you think for a person who wants to, who really is kind of limited in what they know? They want to maybe use a tablet or a cell phone.
Library.
Yeah.
The library has,
Li-
and
Libraries offer a lot.
but
from
this smart
kindergarten,
van also,
but
I want to,
this- yeah.
this is because this is a technology train, because this is Family and Children's, our partnership with them.
Yeah.
And people, have, attended these and then actually outside of it have scheduled different things with the instructor that they're, for follow-up, and they've even helped out in the homes. I mean, they're a wonderful resource. So I encourage people for your first plan to pop over to the smart van
Well,
and just
Yeah.
talk to someone, and they could, and if you need more of an intensive thing, they could certainly,
Yeah.
get you.
well, and I think people have to know that this is not like a magic thing.
No,
This
yeah,
is
you use it.
ongoing.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm technologically pretty literate,
yeah,
and I'm going through a hoop-de-doo with a new phone
right.
Yes.
because it has stuff.
Hoop-de-doo. Right.
Literally except
Yeah.
for your phone.
Yeah.
I'm learning,
Good, right.
I found out, as an example, I use hearing aids. I found out that this phone recognizes the fact that I have Bluetooth hearing aids,
That's
and it
amazing.
jumps right into the hearing
Wow.
aids. So I found that out, unfortunately.
Found that out live on the
this
show.
show,
Live on the show last week.
because I couldn't hear the person who was talking.
Right.
All right. So I found out that my
Right.
hearing aids, my,
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
my phone knows that I have hearing
Right.
aids. All right.
Unbelievable.
No, it really is though, because
It is.
even myself, I mean, there's things that I don't, know. I mean, I'm pretty good at like figuring stuff out, but there's so, and then you have like my brother who's like super aware of like crazy technical terms, so
And then
no
you have
matter
me,
what,
who, if I didn't have Christina,
Well,
I
I
don't
mean, I
even
had
know what I do.
my grandson.
I wouldn't have
in
boarding
IT.
passes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And my
but it-
I'm
son-in-law.
like, Christina, is this gonna work?
But the big point of it is, don't be afraid of it.
Right.
And it is ongoing. It doesn't
Yes.
matter how long you're at it.
Yes.
You have to understand to tolerate a little bit of frustration occasionally,
Yeah,
because it's not always perfect. All right.
yeah,
no, and you also like can just utilize it for like what you
As
need
Dan
to,
knows from
you
today.
know.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
But you can certainly just utilize it in small amounts too. So you don't have to know everything, certainly.
Yeah, and you don't have to, you really want to just be able to do some real basic stuff
Yeah,
so you can communicate with other people.
right.
That's it.
And the senior net, I wonder if there's still senior net. Does Family and Children's, I thought at some point, we
You
had,
know-
we, had a senior net program through EAC actually.
Yeah, through ESA, right.
Back in the day. But that was a wonderful program too, because you went to classes and it was small, and we also used to do it at Yes We Can.
Yes. Mhm.
We used to have an instructor come in, so that's something to consider.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just,
Well, like Jean mentioned it, that FCA does have a program. I don't know what it is,
Yeah,
but
we should look into that. We
look
should get
into
more.
it.
well, I
okay.
think she was talking mostly about the smart van.
Yeah.
Oh, is that
It's
right?
on
that-
there, yeah.
Oh.
yeah.
Because that's really their main technology,
which is
program.
great, but
Yeah.
it's not like giving you a primer.
Yeah.
You need
But I
a
really
kind-
would. Paul has mentioned, local libraries really
Have a
have
lot
great,
ongoing.
great
Yep.
resources, and I want to encourage people
And not
to
just
always
for
check-
this,
right,
many
for so
things,
many
yeah.
things. But they do offer, and they usually have someone just on hand.
Yep.
So this at any given time, and of course they have more formalized classes too. So
Yeah.
I would always check out your local library
Yeah.
because
In
it's
fact,
really,
we're just working on, I don't know if it's all set up yet, but we're gonna have, with the Mineola Library. I don't know if we're gonna do once or twice
Mm-hmm.
a month. We're gonna have our nurse and social workers sitting over there for not a long period of time, but with all our resources, but there with any kind of questions somebody might have. And obviously that's in our township, so they can.
Yeah, there's a
you-
lot of
if
great
you-
stuff
like the
going.
technology thing, you almost like somebody has nothing. All right.
Right,
So they need like a starter kit.
Mhm.
All right.
yeah,
Well, what's in the starter kit?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, what do I need to get started?
yeah, yeah,
I like a pad and pencil is a
Yeah.
start.
right,
Uh,
right,
But then next step, okay, should you start with a phone? Should you
Right.
start with,
right,
a tablet? Maybe you can function with just a phone.
right.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it
and
also
then-
like depends.
Which I
depends
think
on
you
so
could
many
if you
things,
weren't going to
yeah.
do all your.
Yeah,
But I
Yeah.
think the
Yeah.
tablet in the past has been great because it's bigger.
Yeah.
A lot of times that was a major problem with the phone because you can't like see certain things and like, the button, it was, it's tough. So like with a tablet, at least it was like bigger and there was bigger icons that you just knew, okay, I
Yeah.
could click this to get here, this, and I just think about during COVID, the amount of seniors that got on Zoom,
yeah.
really at like a moment's notice,
And wanted to stay on Zoom.
And, right.
When we came back,
Yeah.
almost everything we offer is
Right.
also virtual. Even
Right.
our in-person, most of them are also virtual because people now have become accustomed to,
Yeah.
I want to do this from my home.
Well,
Great.
here's a question for you,
Yeah.
and maybe Dan, who does not a lot of talk on this show,
Right.
but maybe he has the answer. Can you have a Bluetooth keyboard with a phone so that you have a bigger keyboard?
Right.
I believe he can.
Yeah.
Sure.
So,
Any
so
Bluetooth
for a
device,
given
any
yeah.
Bluetooth
senior
device should be able to connect.
into the phone.
Whether the software and an Android can
Yeah.
handle that, well, yeah,
That's
a
another
whole other-
story, right? But the phone does have small keys.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I know me, I'm like,
Yes.
I can
Well, you
type.
can get them for an iPad.
Yeah.
Right.
I have one
Yeah.
for my
yeah.
Can you
iPad.
make
Exactly.
phone calls with an iPad?
Yeah.
Okay. So you could pay on a data plan to get
Mhm.
of any of the companies that would work through the system, not just Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
So you could use that to make phone calls and have a larger screen and the whole bit that goes along with it.
Mhm.
So, talking out loud about, okay, what would a starter kit be?
Yeah.
Maybe that would be the starter kit.
Yeah.
And who would be the most likely to help people with something like that?
Yeah, well, that's why I think your starting point. There are just it's a matter of a social worker trying to Google and connect you. Unfortunately, there's no like set program that
Yeah.
like we currently is going on. But there's they would do the research and figure it out.
Libraries.
Yeah, that's
I was
why
gonna
that's
say, yeah,
Especially
'cause
the
you
big
can-
ones.
you can
like
get
Paula,
Yeah.
you can
Kindles.
ask somebody that
Yes.
will work
Yeah,
with you
exactly.
Yeah.
whatever you want. So
Yeah, I mean,
Almost
libraries.
every library has one now. And a lot of times they'll have like seniors in high school or college age students
Right,
come.
who, like,
certain
volunteer.
who come and just sit with you as long as you need. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, libraries are really, the
Libraries
word
do
is
everything
misleading
now. I
now.
bet. They're just
It's-
amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
are just
libraries are
amazing.
not just for books.
No,
There's,
no,
lots of
no,
stuff
Yeah.
there.
no.
They're a community center.
The human
Yeah.
service also. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
that's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
Community
Yeah.
centers.
Yeah.
No, and that's what is nice that I love that our social workers and nurses, have really have cultivated
out,
great
yeah.
relationships with a lot of libraries. So a lot of good stuff coming this fall with that. We had mentioned on previous shows too that we're very close to finalizing is this organization that's based out of Port Washington called the Story Round.
Oh, this is great.
There are two teachers who are still teaching, but they're really passionate about this organization that they started, and they're doing a memory poetry workshop. And it's really about the benefits of just getting your story out there. And of course, this session is just 90 minutes, which is nice. They do like larger, courses too, but we're going to do one at Glenn G. Martin Park and one at the Port Washington Adult Activity Center in November and December. So we're working on those dates are very close. So hopefully next week I can have something to give you guys, because I think it's going to be a great program. And I see these now. They're so nice, and especially for, a younger, more active senior.
Yeah.
It's just like a great class for them too,
Right.
and just anyone that wants to hear your story out there. And it's just nice to do it in a group setting and talk about
Yeah.
it.
And they were saying at the end, like this one will be
Yeah.
poetry, but some of the other sessions, they're creating a book. So
Mhm.
they're leaving by the several sessions with their own book of
Mhm.
their story. And they've had like follow-up like get-togethers
Yeah.
where people can come and share, invite their families and have refreshments. And that's something hopefully down the line we can do, where people can show their artwork or talk about their stories. So it keeps going. It's like multimedia,
Yeah.
it's not just going
Well,
to be,
it's
I
like the
write my
blanket
story.
group that you
Blankets of
have.
love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, blankets
Yeah.
of love, right.
Yeah. But
There's more than just making blankets.
right.
Right.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Kristina and I got to meet with these lovely women. I
So
mean,
great.
who are both, are they high school teachers?
I think,
Or
yeah, I can't remember their
maybe?
middle school. I think they're middle
They're
school. Yeah. They're
Working
yeah.
active teachers who
Yeah.
take their time, who created this program and are so excited about it.
And
So we're like one of the first, it
Yeah.
sounds like we're
Mhm.
like, they saw something about Project Independence in Port Washington and they contacted us and they
Yeah.
offered it for a very nominal fee. And so we were like, well, there could be a little,
Yeah.
like
the
that's not,
attendees are mostly women.
we didn't do it yet.
We-
We're
yeah,
we're
we-
doing
yeah,
our
no,
first,
we-
Okay.
yeah, we
this
don't
is the
even, yeah.
first time
Yeah.
they're doing it with us, with
Yeah.
Project Independence.
It's amazing
so,
to me. I mean, I know there are more older senior women than there are men.
Yeah,
But men tend to participate a lot less
yeah.
in lots of things, really.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
that's just always the case, and I laugh all the time. I say with the Romeos, when
Yeah.
they had started, it was really based upon the wife saying, "My husband needs to get out of the house. Like
Find
he
something."
won't like take the initiative."
Oh, is David Linden?
Yes.
Right, yeah, Dave.
And,
I have a
you
friend
know,
who's very involved with him now.
oh,
Yeah.
nice.
One of the people I walk with at Jones Beach
Oh,
on
cool.
Sunday.
nice.
Good.
They work together at another program.
Mhm.
So he
Nice.
actually was at their house Sunday,
Oh,
good,
nice.
cool.
Oh,
trying
that's
to help
great.
them out here and there.
Good. Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing too, is, we're very fortunate, obviously, in the town of North Hempstead, but Long Island as a whole, and Nassau County. So there's so many resources out there. And I think it's just about getting connected to the right resource for you, the right help, as we were saying. So please just call 311 or 516-869-6311, because we really would love to get you connected to all this stuff. And there's a lot of fun stuff going on in North Hempstead, a lot of socialization things. It's summer, which is going by too fast, that Paul and I were talking about today. Like, I just can't believe that we're just flying through July
Right.
rapidly. I want to slow down, time, be a little more present in what's going on. So of course we mentioned Fun Day Monday. In addition to those great programs that start at 10 o'clock, at 9 o'clock, each week, there's pickleball instruction, there's yoga, there's line dancing, and Tai Chi. So you're able to do that before it gets too hot. So that's really, really nice, the thing that they have, and it's very popular as well, because once the Project Independence exercise classes, have their hiatus, they get to still do it at Fun Day Monday, which is really nice. And those classes, hopefully we'll have the dates for that soon too. We've been working very hard at scheduling all that. So
And there's no
really good
fee
stuff.
for anything,
Right.
which still boggles people's minds. I mean, especially all our exercise programs.
Yes.
There's 17 of them now.
18.
We now offer
Yes.
18 different types of classes.
Yeah.
No fee.
Yeah.
You come in, you take your class, and and when you go to look up, you want to go do them in other places, even other townships.
Yeah, there's a cost, right?
Yeah,
You
well,
pay for
people,
them.
I know I have people that I've tried to say, go, call
Yeah.
Project Independence.
Yeah,
Some of them never will call Project
Yeah,
Independence, right? Because they're
but they might come
skeptical.
to exercise.
Nah.
No, okay. Never mind.
No,
Some
Yeah,
people just
yeah.
can't get past. They think there's a catch, and there's not a catch.
not going to happen. They just
Yeah.
think there's a catch to
Yeah.
it, and they
It
don't
just-
want anybody
Yeah.
in their business, and
Yeah.
that's the
It's
way
okay.
it is.
Everyone's entitled.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
we're just
You know,
here.
it's not going to
We're
change.
here if you
so,
need us.
I don't.
Is
Yeah.
really it.
Push it.
And for Fun Day Monday, there's a really extensive bus pickup schedule as well. So all different locations throughout the town. You can just call 311 or 516-869-6311 to get connected to that. We keep mentioning all the wonderful concerts that are going on at the Town of North Hempstead. And the next one coming up is today, if you're listening to the show live, I will say, is July 19th. The next one is July 21st, and that's Milagro, which is a Santana tribute band. That's going to be at the North Hempstead Beach Park at 7 p.m. So check it out. If you're a fan of Santana, it's really nice. And they look like a great time, the concerts over there. I see a lot on social media. And I saw the supervisor dancing away last weekend. So
It
was really nice.
on Facebook.
oh, see, you saw it too. There you go. And there's literally one constantly. I think it's once a week. So that's Sundays. And then we have another, this is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday concerts they also have. There's going to be, the next one is July 23rd, is L.I. Rewind, which is a rock band. And that's going to be at Clark Garden in Albertson. Then there's going to be on the 25th, Half Step, which is a Grateful Dead tribute band. That'll be at Jerry Pond Park. And on the 30th is Just the 60s, which is also at Jerry Pond Park in Roslyn. So really nice. They're all throughout the town.
Great.
It's a great time to get out there. And as I mentioned, Jerry Pond Park is near and dear to my heart. So definitely check that out. And I stumbled upon this other program that's going on with the town. It's called Art at Clark. And it's Shake Out the Sand from Your Sandals and come join us for an exciting and heartwarming compilation of dramatic storytelling with a musical accompaniment of Drew Keel, who was a former actor on All My Children and Friends. A special feature of the event will be a wonderful collection of watercolor masterpieces. The admission is free. Space, however, is limited. So you need to call 311 or you could email Craneburg, which is KRANEBURGE at northhempsteadny.gov. The next one is actually tomorrow, if you're listening to us live, July 20th, 12 to 2 or 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So check it out. I thought that was an interesting little
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I just stumbled upon it when I was doing some research, and I was like, this looks like a great program. And July 24th is another Wellness Wednesday. This one is Saving Lives training, and that's going to be at Whitney Pond Park from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. So you can call 311 to get information about that. You know, I've seen the cancer screenings that were going on at Clinton G. Martin Park. That van was there. I kept seeing a lot of people going in, which was really, really wonderful too. So a lot of good stuff. July is also National Park and Recreation Month. So while July is still going on, definitely check these things out. We have coming up movies also at the park on July 23rd. There'll be Elemental, which is a great family movie, and that is at Fusillo Park, July 23rd, 8:45 p.m. Oh my gosh, I'm getting the high sign. There's so much to go on here. Well, you'll just have to tune in next week to hear more information. I want to thank everyone who listened to Project Independence and You, Talk of the Town. I'd like to thank Paula and Otto for another great show. Project Independence and You is a production of Long Island University Public Radio, with a special thank you to our Wizard of Oz, Dan Cox. Join us next Friday at 10 a.m. on LIU Public Radio. Goodbye and have a great weekend.